I was in the middle of an apology, I believe.
I don't know if we'll keep the beginning bit, so why don't you just apologise to me again?
You'd love that, wouldn't you?
I would, I just think it's for the podcast. It would be worth getting
So-
just a clean version of the apology.
Oh, would it? Would it be worth it for the podcast?
Just
Yeah.
I didn't believe it the first time round, so if we can just get like a take which has a little bit more of I don't know, contrition or enthusiasm, support.
All right. I'm pretty sorry for delaying the podcast for 1 week, 8 days, and
2 hours.
2 hours.
I accept your apology.
The first one was not my fault. The second one was definitely my fault.
And the third one today, you were looking at houses.
Yeah. Yeah, because we have to leave. It's so shit. The date to vacate is December 28th.
That's so fucking douchey.
I know. We asked for an extension because you're like, you mean like right in the middle of Christmas? And they're like, no, can't do it.
That's crap.
Yeah.
So are you going to look in the same sort of area that you're in, or are you going to look a bit more Melbourne afield?
Looking to go a bit east. Not that that means anything to anyone, but I was kind of keen to go to the burbs a little bit and get a bit of not the burbs, but like a little bit further out, get a bigger house.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I guess it depends on what's available and what's the price on it all. And
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it'll be fine.
I suppose the good thing is at the end of the year, there'll probably be a bunch of people in the same sort of boat where people's leases are coming up. So it'll be easier than trying to do it in the middle of winter, say.
Yeah, I'm confident that we'll find a nice place. I mean, I said that now. The Valium's still cruising along, so once this wears off, I might start freaking out.
Yeah, it's all good. You were crook last week, like properly crook.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Okay, welcome to Deep Thought, everybody. We don't have time to spare today. We're so far behind the times. We just need to get this shit done.
For the people.
For the people, we can't dawdle. They've been jonesing. I've been getting messages left, right, and centre saying, "Where's our Deep Thought?" And I say, "Look, it's not my fault. I'll speak to the man who's responsible."
Were they doing the raising the roof?
Oh, raising the roof
at the same time. That's so weird, just to be like asking a question.
It's a strange contrast of like sort of being in the groove, but like uncertain.
No, it's good because it's showing enthusiasm. Like you want.
Yeah.
I want the show. Like,
I'm ready to party.
Yeah. No, I dig it. I'm going to start asking all my questions like that.
How long do I have to live? That's a joke. Again, it doesn't work on a podcast format because you can't tell that I was doing the thing, but I was doing the thing.
I dug it.
Welcome to the next 125, everybody. This is a podcast in which we talk about the issues of the day through the lens of history. No, we don't. Sitting through the internet with me, Michael, say hi.
Hey, can you call me Papa Mango?
Sitting through the internet with me, Papa Mango.
Hey, guys.
I thought your voice would be different as Papa Mango, but that's okay.
I did too.
And I'm Nick. Hey, everybody. How you doing? You look great today.
You know what? Emma said that before.
Sorry,
Thanks.
that was to the audience.
It actually was, wasn't it?
It really was.
Arsehole. You're looking me dead in the eye, so what am I supposed to do?
It really was to the audience, but I love that you just took the compliment.
We were at a little gathering yesterday, and Emma. I wasn't looking at Emma, but she was sitting next to me, and there was my friend Lee on the left of me, and Emma said something like, "Oh, you look really nice today," and then I just didn't accept it. I was like, "Yeah, Lee does look really nice." I just assumed it was him. She was like, "I meant you weirdo." I was like, "Fuck!" I just completely showed my insecurity there.
It's because Lee always looks nice. It's not even worth commenting on.
He actually does, actually.
Well, I like that you've now balanced that out by being directly complimented and ignoring it yesterday, and then getting a compliment that was not intended for you. So together, you've missed it in both directions.
I'm all over the place.
You're all over the place.
Can I hit you with a quick fuck, marry, kill?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Keanu Reeves, Paul Rudd, Jason Bateman. Hollywood nice guys. Hollywood nice guys around.
Reeves, Rudd, Bateman. Definitely got to fuck Reeves, don't you? You just have to. Marry Rudd, he'd be there for you. You got to kill Bateman. It's pretty straightforward.
I agree. Now, I asked Emma this just before.
Well, we know her taste sometimes verges out of the mainstream currents, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like well, she had quite a clear answer, but
she definitely wanted to fuck
I didn't have David
Bateman.
Schwimmer in the mix, so it would have been. But she said, she obviously married. You'd have to marry Rudd.
You have to marry Rudd. I'm sorry.
You have to marry Rudd. But then she said she'd kill Keanu.
Yeah. Good luck.
I said to her, "You're going to kill Keanu, even though he's had that much tragedy in his life. You know, with his girlfriend and maybe his daughter passing."
Yeah, his daughter. Yeah.
She said, "Well, then he can be in heaven with them."
In a way, it's quite sweet. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of putting him out of his misery, aren't you?
But she said it so innocently. It was eerie, but very funny.
But fuck Bateman. Interesting.
She's got a thing for Bateman.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun game. Fun start. Since we're not really on topics yet, did you see that there's a direct flight? Let me bring this up. A Sydney to New York, the world's longest flight, which they're currently testing. Qantas is testing this. It's 20 hours. 20 hours. They're hoping to do it in 2022, but they're having all of these tests in advance, not just, for technical reasons to see whether the plane can make it. The plane can make it. It's like a psychological test. It's working out what the fuck it does to people to be locked in a plane for 20 hours. How do they do it with the staff? Because the staff can only be working for so many hours before they get a break. What do the pilots do for 20 hours? Can they actually be that attentive across the time? It's would you want to go on a 20-hour flight to be direct from Sydney to New York?
I'd go on a 40-hour flight. I love planes.
A 40-hour flight?
Yeah, I'd do that twice. Would land, I'd say, I'll just stay in my seat and then say, turn this bad boy around.
I don't want to see New York. I really want to just walk the Harbour Bridge. So if we could just head back.
Yeah. I saw it, yeah. Would you do it?
I don't think I would.
Really?
I think I would find it...
What if it was for free?
Well, that's different. And I mean, this article came out because the journalist was on the plane. So
presumably they all went for free.
Yeah.
If they're guinea pigs,
yeah. But you're literally guinea pigs in that respect, because they were taking psychologists and like neurologists. They were doing actual scans of people mid-flight to see what it was doing to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like actual testing. But I think I just... Yeah, the only way you could really test how you'd behave on that kind of situation would be to decide, okay, give yourself a seat and the inside of your house and see if you can stay there for 20 hours, right?
Yeah.
Can you sit in that chair that you're in right now for the next 20 hours, only getting up to go to the bathroom, get some food, or come back in and sit on that chair again? Can you do it for 20 hours?
I don't think I could do that, but weirdly enough...
That's what the plane is.
I know, but there's some... I really love being in a plane, really do. And I think there's something... I'm just so thrilled the whole time that I'm like a child that's never flown before. Every time. I just watch the best channel on... in-flight mode, in-flight entertainment is just the flight map.
I do. I am a flight map guy.
It's so good, and you just like watch it, and you just like flying over countries, and it just my imagination's going wild.
And it's also saying stuff like 7 hours 49 to destination, and then you go away and you look back and it's like 7 hours 42, and you're like, oh, getting closer.
My only gripe with the flight map is that it's a bit clunky.
Well, yeah.
Well, the Malaysian airline ones was.
Yeah, I think it depends on the plane you're in, because Air New Zealand's in-flight screens and entertainment, everything, are fucking incredible. They're really good.
It would be great if you could like touch screen, like zoom in.
That's what you can do,
and link it up with like Google Earth and shit.
I don't know how much information they have there, but you can definitely zoom in, pinch to zoom, and like go and press in places and stuff. I'm not making that up. Yeah,
I got to fly in New Zealand to somewhere.
Yeah.
Next year. Oh, try and do it.
Come over. I'll ask around, see if anyone can put you up.
Cheers.
I was curious this week, given the state of the world, whether it was worth doing a bit of a Trump check-in. Just it's been a little while since the election. I can't remember the last. Oh, we did, I think, a bit of a the week after the Mueller report came out, or the first version of it. We talked about it a little bit, but we haven't really checked in. And I was just curious, because I don't think you pay as close sort of day-to-day attention on all of that stuff. If you,
I've got a loose idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious as to the amount of information that sort of trickled through, what you think his status is, what you think is likely to happen next. Okay. Yeah, just curious as to.
I'll give you my vague what I think it is, and then you fine tune it. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. So the Democrats are calling have launched a. Do you launch it? An impeachment inquiry?
Yep.
Is that it? Because they believe that Trump has essentially used his position of power to bribe or negotiate for personal gain. Now, so my understanding of it is that that presidents do negotiate and withhold things from other nations, especially if they're a superpower helping out a smaller ally like Ukraine. But the reason why it's a problem is because Trump is withholding state money, basically money that belongs to the government, to help his own political campaign for the following year. Against which was Joe Biden's son or something like that. Something he wanted to investigate Joe Biden's son's dealings with something. Is that vaguely?
Yeah, you're pretty much dead on. Yeah, Democrats launched an impeachment inquiry because the whistleblower report that came out alleged that Trump withheld state funding, state military aid and weaponry that was meant to go to the Ukraine to prevent the Russian incursion, on the proviso that the Ukraine investigate the baseless accusations that Joe Biden and his son were corrupt. And in doing so, use the office of the president to further his own political goals and to, as you say, attack a political opponent or perceived political opponent in 2020. So, yeah.
What did Biden's son do?
What did he actually do, or what's the accusation?
What does Trump want them to look into?
So I think he was involved in a corporation called Burisma or something. It's tied into Burisma. I think the allegation is that I actually don't know what the accusation is, because most of the reporting that I saw basically just stopped at saying it was unfounded, and so there wasn't a there to even really go into in any detail. But right. I assume some form of corruption, i.e. taking money from something to achieve a personal goal of his own. But
it's basically everyone's saying that it's pretty much unfounded.
It's totally unfounded. Yeah. It is the classic Trumpian thing, though, to project what you did onto other people, as we've seen in many instances previously. So it is not hugely surprising that the thing he's accusing them of is the thing that he was doing.
It's like whoever smelt it dealt it.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, the reason that it's become so... because the Democrats were hesitant to launch the inquiry for quite a while. Nancy Pelosi didn't want to do it because she feared that, I think, that it would rile up the base against them. But then when they did launch it, they said they were going to keep a very narrow focus and just focus on the Ukraine stuff and not any of the Mueller stuff, even though the Mueller report did include plenty of indications of corruption and obstruction of justice and that kind of stuff, which were also impeachable offences. But for simplicity's sake, for the I think for the saleability and the communication of this concept to the broader public, their angle was going to be, okay, we'll just focus on Ukraine. This is a really simple thing. I mean, the phrase has become parroted so much as to lose meaning now, but the whole quid pro quo thing, right? They said saw it as a very simple thing. We withheld money until you did the thing we want to investigate the bad guy. That's a sentence that they felt everyone could communicate. The trouble is that Trump and his cronies are so fucking incompetent and so bad at doing crime that they then continued to do crime in public after the impeachment proceedings began. So now, then,
is it a crime? Is it a crime?
Is what a crime?
Is what he did a crime? Like,
it's bribery.
So it's he's been charged. Like, is it high crimes and misdemeanors? Is that the charge?
So there's a few different facets to it. The one part of the impeachment process is high crimes and misdemeanors, as you say, is meant as a kind of catch-all for any kind of behaviour which doesn't befit the role of president, and that sort of behaviour is clearly within the realm. But then the other thing is that there's been analysis that's come out and said, irrespective of the question of is this behaviour enough to reach the threshold of impeachment, is it a high crime or misdemeanor? Irrespective of that, what he did is also like a federally prohibited crime of bribery and other kinds of actual illegal activity. So in that respect, it is both a crime and impeachable because those two are not necessarily always the same thing.
Right. I got a couple of cues for you.
Yeah.
One is, so
can I just, before we jump into that, let me just get the one point I was going to get across, which was that so the Democrats thought they had this tidy little parcel, and then because Trump is so bad and his way of dealing with problems is to basically admit them and say it wasn't a problem. What he then did was, so initially it was like, this is an inaccurate transcript, this whistleblower, who is he, what the fuck, it's not accurate at all. Then he came out and both his spokesperson and then him directly on camera in front of everyone said that he did the thing that he was accused of having done, right? So then he admitted to it on camera. Mulvaney said it, and then Trump said, what did you expect Ukraine to do about it? He said, well, I would have liked him to start up an investigation, which was admitting to the crime he was accused of. So,
and then he didn't he say that about China?
And then,
like,
and I think China should do. It's like, oh, I had a problem with one country, well, throw another couple in the mix. So any kind of discussion now about the whole whistleblower complaints and all this kind of thing is effectively meaningless because he issued the transcript, which showed the transcript of the call, which showed that he'd said exactly what had been accused of by the whistleblower. He then said the exact same thing in public, in front of cameras. So any kind of angle about like the whistleblower thing's effectively null and void because he admitted to it himself in front of everybody, right? So
the boy doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't, and that's the scary thing. So now, my point is that the Democrats who are hoping to keep this thing kind of tidy and contained have now ended up, because Trump is completely incapable of dealing with any sort of pressure or criticism, because he's melted down, he's made the situation worse. He's dragged in Rudy Giuliani and all these other associates of his, and now the mess is as complicated and expansive in terms of people involved and scope as what the potential Mueller report would have been anyway. So I think the hopes that the Democrats might have had of having this issue sort of tidily dealt with before the end of the year are probably no longer going to be able to achieve that. It'll probably stretch on far longer than they thought.
But won't all of Trump's actions post the impeachment inquiry make it easier for the impeachment to happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that it'll take longer. I think it's actually politically good for the Democrats to be controlling the news cycle in this way and to make it clear to the public, which has been sort of done a disservice by the media generally, into thinking that there hasn't really been anything super serious that Trump's done wrong. For this kind of process to be not dragged out, but to be thoroughly investigated in such a visible manner, I think is actually useful for them politically as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now, what were your questions?
I was gonna ask. So there's been, I think, 2 presidents before that have been impeached: Nixon and Clinton.
Yeah.
But that wasn't what got them out of office. So what does impeachment even mean?
So there's 2 phases to impeachment. The House of Representatives impeaches the president. So they go through the investigative process. They, fact find. They find the information. They assemble all this evidence, and then conclude, yes, we're impeaching the president. Then it goes up to the Senate, and the Senate's job is to actually litigate the matter. So they basically put the president on trial, and then at that point, if the Senate finds that they've committed the thing they're accused of, then the president can be removed from office. The thing is that requires both houses of Congress to act apolitically in a way. They need to be non-partisan in order to, if they were to actually do a fair and reasonable job of holding the president to account. The reality is that because the Republicans hold the Senate, even if the Democratic majority in the House impeaches him, when it gets passed up to the Senate, they won't remove him because they see no political benefit to doing so. So that is the theoretical process in which they could be removed. It's not the practical way that this is going to end. Ultimately,
so what's the point of doing it?
Because it's the right thing to do, because it shines visibility on the crimes, because it becomes politically untenable for some Republican senators to defend the crimes. It opens them, all of the people who stand up on that stage and say, I don't believe he did anything wrong. It then puts a target on their back for other Republicans in their district who would run against them in the next election, or Democratic enemies in the same vibe. So it effectively forces everyone to take the stand, to actually not just block the investigation, not just dodge the topic, but to actively say, yes, I believe that this was fine, when effectively their legacy is now on the line and potentially their electability going forward. So from a political standpoint, it's worth it for the Democrats because it forces the Republican staff to make that call. And it also benefits them, I think, in showing the seriousness of the actions of the president and making the media cover it seriously, where they may effectively just pretend it's business as usual, which they've done for most of this president in a lot of ways, when it has really been seriously not normal.
Right. But if impeachment doesn't go through, the Democrats risk strengthening Trump in a way, don't they? Because if he's acquitted of it, then it's like, in the public's eyes, it's like, it just seems like the Democrats are being petty.
Yeah, that was part of the calculus and part of the reason I think Pelosi was trying to avoid it. But at the same time, I think the House could pass it and the Senate could decline to pursue it, and then it becomes an issue for the Senate, right? I don't think it would even go to that trial stage in the Senate. I think they wouldn't even table it. Mitch McConnell would stop it from getting to the floor. So it wouldn't even come to a point necessarily where the president gets acquitted. It'd just be sort of blocked, I think.
Right.
But then the other thing is, I don't think that there is. I think that the core base of the GOP now that still support Trump despite this, they're not convincible any other way. They're effectively. It's not harsh. It is harsh. I'm sorry, but they're kind of in the cult of Trump, right? There's nothing that he can say or do now that, if they're still on board with him, they're not going anywhere, right? So they're not going to risk those swing votes, if you like, by having had this process and had it fail, because those people were never going to jump ship regardless of anything. So it was ultimately a sign of, for the swing votes that were legitimately like on the fence, it shows that they were actively trying to pursue the course of justice and do their responsibility to hold the president accountable. How do you have you noticed anything different in the coverage of Trump? Do you feel like the media is treating this phase as something new?
No. I stick to, I mean, basically what I get my US politics news from is a handful of the same sources, really. It's a lot of it is
Joe Rogan's Instagram.
Seth Meyers, yes. A closer look.
Yeah, Seth Meyers does a good summary of this stuff.
It's just it gives me a good sense, but I'm kind of wary of the bias there. But I'm wary of that there might be potential bias there. I'm always looking for bias these days. I watch CNN and I just watch like YouTube segments. That's basically what I listen to. But I don't know. It's hard to tell if the media are treating this more seriously than anything else, because every time there's something else, they treat it as if it's the most serious thing ever. So it's hard to actually gauge whether.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I see a bit of criticism these days about CNN for that purpose of treating everything with this kind of hysteria, but also with this false sense of like the duty for balance, which is like the false duty to balance. It's not. This is kind of the issue of our times, really, which is finding the distinction and the editorial skill to know when it's important to actually have opposing voices on a topic with legitimate opposing viewpoints, and when pretending that there's two sides to every story actually does the viewer or reader a disservice by pretending
assuming
that
both
equal.
sides are equal. Yeah, and I think it's also a direct byproduct of having the bull in the china shop that is Trump, because it just normalizes chaos. So
absolutely,
that's why because everything's so chaotic, it just normalizes everything. You don't know. I mean, it's just like it's just peaking all the time.
Yeah, and I think that 24-hour news cycle as well has proven. News used to be that half hour at 6 o'clock, right? And you get the day's news, and it was over, and then everything waited until the morning's paper for whatever happened since that point, and then anything that happened in the day was covered in the news, and then it happened in the paper, and it was on this sort of TikTok of objectivity. And the 24-hour news cycle, which produced literally 24 hours that needed to be filled with content, then needed to start making mountains out of molehills, because you've got hours. You've got hours to kill. And so what's the way to do that? You take small issues and you make them big. You take issues that are not controversial and you make them controversial by bringing in the one whack job who doesn't believe in climate change or, whatever it is. So I think the current state of journalism and places like CNN are really struggling in the Trump era, because when so much shit is fucking nuts crazy, then that normal methodology of moving past it, trying to balance out the crazy with someone who thinks it's fine, actually doesn't cope with the extremities. If you're always trying to bring things to the center, then whenever the news is really kind of extreme, you're doing it the viewer a disservice.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, or maybe it's not amazing, that there seems to be a real gap in the market for a news outlet who is just 100% striving for complete neutrality. And maybe all news organizations believe that they are striving for that.
I'm sure that they do. Here's my question back to you. How do you determine that? What does complete neutrality look like? Is that even achievable? Doesn't everyone, by the nature of being a human being and an individual subjective lump of goo, bring some form of subjectivity?
Yeah, but I don't know. With the American outlets, it's maybe different. ABC doesn't cover it that much. They do a little bit of it, and the ABC seems to be impartial.
Yeah,
the ABC's in Australia seems to be impartial.
Yeah.
Maybe that's as a result of it being international news.
Well, and also I think, and I take your point. The international topic means that they can be objective.
They're removed.
They're removed from it. But I think the fact that they're public funded as well, they don't have commercial interests. Implicitly, News Corp. We talked about this a few months ago. How I think Rupert Murdoch is one of the most dangerous men on the planet. But because it's a commercial business, it's got advertising interests, and because it's a private, it's owned by the Murdoch family, their inclinations and interests can also shape what comes out of it. So I think if you're proposing this hypothetical, a completely neutral journalistic thing, it'd have to be something that was
not commercially backed,
owned probably in equal part by the public and the journalists involved, so that they had sort of financial independence. It'd probably be quite a hefty kind of subscription. But before we cycle away from it, I want to go back to my question, which was, what does an objective news outlook look like? Is that even possible?
I can't think of one.
I'm not asking you for an example. I'm asking you whether even hypothetically this is an achievable goal, or do you just have to accept that every outlet will have some degree of angle because it's made up by humans?
Yeah. No, I think it's possible. I just don't think to get the thing off the ground, or to get to become one of the big boys or the big players, you need a shitload of money, and the only way that's going to come. So I think there's definitely space for it, but for it to be a prominent leading news organization, then maybe not.
But I mean, the Washington Post got backed by Jeff Bezos, right, of Amazon. So they're backed by one of the richest companies in the world, and will have complete financial security forever.
Right.
But here's the argument: people will call it a left-leaning magazine, right, or source, presumably because they perceive Jeff Bezos, even though he's a fucking billionaire, to have he's espoused liberal viewpoints in the past. So even if you have that kind of beneficiary to get the publication off the ground, to get it to a point where it could be actually independent, because by all accounts Jeff Bezos leaves it alone. He doesn't do anything with it. He just pays for it effectively.
Really?
Yeah, he bought it, and it's just there. He just left alone, which I think has made it one of the real success stories of the past sort of decade. But even despite that, I think the perception will still be in some circles that it has bias attached, even though by any account it ought to be what you're saying, an objective, independent kind of news source.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine that a guy like Bezos with as much of a vested interest that he would have in politics because of his financial situation.
Yeah,
it's tough to imagine that he is completely unbiased, but maybe he is.
I don't think it's even whether or not he is personally. I think he would argue that he is certainly biased. I think it's more he's not involved.
Hands off.
He's completely hands off. And I think the Washington Post, I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure when it was first announced that he was going to take the stake in it and shore it up, I'm sure that the editorial team on that paper made absolutely fucking certain that he was not going to touch it, that he was not going to have any say over the news coverage, because I think they would have valued themselves and their work too much to allow that even the slightest whiff of being the case.
You'd think so. And the other thing is, I really don't think any journalist really wants to go into journalism. Every journalist starts out wanting to be a journalist for the right reasons. Well, I think most of them do. It's just that they end up going where the money is.
In order to be able to do the job, sometimes that means you have to go work at the Adelaide Advertiser, and all of a sudden you are working at a news body which doesn't share your own interests in what you want to report on.
Yeah,
I'd be very interested to sort of know Eddie Kavanagh's sort of perspective on everything, because these days he's doing a bit of writing for The Guardian and that sort of stuff, and seems to be, properly getting out there in his reportage. I'd be curious to see what he thinks the Australian landscape's like.
Yeah, Eddie's killing it, man.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. He's an interesting guy. Yeah, he's constantly writing shit and then just pitching it to trying to get it sold. And I really admire his work ethic. Yeah.
So, putting aside the idea of what the idealized objective journalism would look like, do you feel like Trump is getting an easy job of it? Do you think he's getting a hard shake? Is he getting the kind of coverage that his behavior deserves?
Yeah, as I said before, it is a little bit tough to say because everything's all over the place. But it seems as if there's a certain level of exasperation from the media for that reason, that they're just like, I mean, it seems like this is a big deal. It seems like now he's crossed the line before, obviously, but now, like, this seems like a proper abuse of power.
Yeah,
and I think that he's getting a pretty fair shake, although he's pretty good. He's at diffusing or putting up a smoke screen
deflecting
when shit goes haywire, and the type of supporters, as you said before, that he has, they're now in it. So the risk of him losing the faith of the respect of his fan base, it's pretty small. So
Yeah.
it will be interesting. He seems like, I follow him on Twitter, and he does seem to have lost the plot, like more than ever. I love his tweets, but it does seem to be like, what did he say today? It's just like,
Was it about the Baghdadi stuff?
Oh, what did he say? Interesting to say about that. No, it was just like, so no, it was just like no context. So no whistleblower now? And then I had to like go into the comments to try and work out what was actually happening, which, if you ever read the comments on Trump's Facebook or Twitter, you're never going to learn anything apart from that some people are just so stupid. Like the comments on Trump's tweets are so boring in a way. Actually, they just like, it's just like, we love you, Mr. President. Like, that's all anyone says.
Yeah.
Keep fighting. You're the best. You're the only president that tells it like it is. It's like, say something proper.
But there have been like tools that people have used to analyze his follow account, and it's something like 30% of his followers are bots. They're like,
really?
Yeah, 30% or more of them are like active botnets, just posting kind of generic bullshit, right? So half that shit is probably not even humans. It's literally white noise.
Nice. Well, no pun intended.
Yeah, but very accurate. Yeah, what were you? Did you have something to say about the Baghdadi ISIS thing?
Just what were you gonna? What did he say about that? Did he comment?
I was just trying.
Didn't Baghdadi blew himself up, right?
Yeah.
He got into what I heard is he got into a dead end tunnel, and then blew himself up with his kids.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Cool, man. Good
I-
dadding. Way to be a good dad.
So horrible. I think the crazy thing first was Donald like pre-teased it, which is crazy. It's so like insane. So
I love that you just called him Donald, by the way.
We're good friends. His first hint of it, we just tweeted, something very big has just happened. And that was it.
What's happened, Donnie?
Just, like,
what is it?
It's insanity. Like, this is the president of the United States just clearly being like, "Oh, the news conference isn't for like 3 hours, but I gotta get something out there." And all the advisors are like, "Donald, you can't say anything yet. We're still in the area. We've got to get our troops out." And he's like, "Oh, but I really want to say something."
He does.
And so then they just let him tweet, something very big has just happened. So yeah, just that, having remembered that, I was prompting you whether or not the thing that you were talking about having seen on his Twitter was the Baghdadi related stuff. But
I'll check those out later. Actually, I just had a thought, just to quickly go back to the news bias situation. That I've just started watching this show on Showtime called The Circus, which is actually quite an interesting show because they do an episode every week, and they have, I think, two of the there's three people. You would probably all know them because they're all kind of like people on Showtime, on CNN. They're guests on CNN and whatever all the time. But they have two of them are one of them's on CNN, so he's a Democrat. One's a Republican, and one's kind of in the middle. And it's actually a pretty good even take. They get the Republican side, they get the Democratic side, and they're gonna get the person that's kind of in between. So that's actually a pretty good show.
Mm. And it's presumably just news coverage, right?
Yeah, it's just they're
it's not satire or comedy. It's
no.
Yeah,
It's
just straight
news coverage, but they go out to dinner all together and they reconvene. They talk about it. Then they go to the press conferences. So like the press conference footage that you usually see on the news. This is like high def with cameras and stuff. So it's actually really interesting, like in the room thing.
Right.
I'd recommend that for.
So it began as a TV documentary series following the presidential race, and then it's sort of come back as ongoing, documentary style by the looks of it. So season 4, Inside the Wildest Political Show on Earth, it's about presumably the Trump presidency and stuff.
It's up to date, so it's current.
Yeah.
So it's hot off the press, and it is biased both ways, but in that way it's unbiased. You know what I mean? It's getting both takes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
is the Republican voice on it a Trump fan, or is it a classic Republican, like a never Trumper?
No, it's not really. He is critical of certain things about Trump.
Well, that's the thing.
He's a Republican. Yeah.
Most of the classic conservative voices in the mainstream media have turned on him. Like there's very few defenders in the in the mold of what used to be republicanism. So yeah, it's strange that in some ways his presidency has united what were formerly oppositional voices. But you see the op-ed columnists in the Times and the Washington Post and that sort of thing, calling for Trump's, bemoaning his behavior and calling for his for accountability for his actions as much as you do the liberal-leaning columnists. So, in some ways, it's kind of amazing that any of them really have maintained that integrity in the face of what has been a real shift for the Republican Party into the partisanship of there's nothing that this president can ever do to be wrong. That the fact that there are some voices there still who seem to have the moral integrity to stand up to their own previous statements on the actions of presidents when it went the other way is kind of reassuring.
And you certainly get the sense from the people that have, first of all, like run against him, like Paul Ryan.
Yeah, Mitt Romney.
And these guys that have at that. Well, Mitt Romney's been quite critical of him. Paul Ryan. I mean, the guys that have stayed with him after criticizing him just come off as like the most spineless twats ever, don't they? They look like so fucking weak.
Yeah,
like you.
Lindsey Graham
I can see you sold out, you piece of shit.
Yeah,
have some balls.
Because in the run up to the in the 2015, 2016 run-up, all of these people were running for the role of Republican nominee. And so they all stood on those debate stages and said, Donald Trump is a loony. He's completely crazy. He's, got no idea what he's talking about and he shouldn't be president. He's unfit for office. And then when he got into power, they're like, yeah, the president does what he does. And, that's okay.
Obvious.
Yeah. Anyway, that was interesting to sort of check in and see where you're sitting with it all. I imagine there will be probably some more huge events in this presidency still to come before the election, so we can check back in as things heat up further. Yeah. It's kind of it's starting to feel slightly more likely that even if he lost at the election, I don't know whether he'd necessarily hand it over. I think it's genuinely plausible that he would insist that it was all wrong and that it was rigged against him and not hand over the keys.
That would be great if he did.
It would not be great.
It would be great viewing.
It would be fucking historically unprecedented and gripping for sure.
In my head, it's just like them literally carrying him out. Like you got 2 guys for his legs, 2 guys for his arms,
just dragging him along the floor, just sagged in the middle.
I was looking at footage of him, interviews with him from when he was younger, when he was like a 35-year-old mogul. There's a great interview with him and David Letterman.
Yeah.
Oh man, Letterman just fucking hates him.
Ripped into
calls
him.
him a goon. Hilarious, to his face.
That's good.
But in some respects, he seems, as a younger man, he seemed more mature than he is now. He seemed a bit more reserved, a bit more shy, not so. He didn't have the. He's somewhere between his 40s and his, what is he now, 70. He's just. His head has just gone.
I think there's probably a few reasons for that. I think when his dad was alive, like he and his dad did not have a good relationship. He was constantly seeking his dad's approval. And I think when his dad was alive, he was probably living in the shadow of this actually successful real estate mogul. So I think in that early part of his life, where it's clear that he's just massively insecure, right? I think when his dad was around, he was probably very different. And then he sort of took over control of that stuff, took his dad's empire away from him, and sort of inflated his sense of ego a bit. But I think thank you for bringing it up. What do you think about his mental state? Because when you compare even 3 years ago, like his campaign speeches to some of the way he speaks and the sentences he comes out with these days, I think there's a real visible degradation. I think he's genuinely different now to even 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, I think he's obviously a unique case. So I think there's a part of it that if you reach that level of wealth and fame, I mean, he was pretty famous. He was a household name before he was president. Yeah. It's a little bit of, I think once you get that famous and wealthy, you got a little bit of that Michael Jackson syndrome, where you're just so sheltered that you get a bit weird. You can't be not weird. It's too hard. You can't be grounded. There's nothing that's been grounding him for ages.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a politician really ever that's been a celebrity and then, it's
Ronald
so
Reagan.
weird.
No, Ronald Reagan.
But was he like a household name?
Yeah, I think so. He was a movie star.
Right. Okay.
It was a different era.
Then.
It was a different era, but yeah.
Yeah, and maybe, yes, the social media has a big part
amplified
to play
that stuff, yeah.
But yeah, I think he's just so in a bubble. And by all accounts, the people that are leaking in the White House and stuff are saying that he's off the rails and that they're actively hiding bad information from him. He tweeted the other day that he is unsubscribing from Washington Post in the White House. He's ordered that the Washington Post it's funny that the White House is actually subscribing to the Washington Post, but of course they would. That his aides and the people around him are actually sheltering him. I mean, that's what they fucking did with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Just tell him the good shit. So I think it's really hard to stay sane. And just because he's
But there's a difference between being connected to the world and being stable, right? Like emotionally stable. Or do you think that that the shelteredness worsens your emotional stability?
Definitely.
Completely? Like, is that the entire reason for it?
Well, I can't think of a case where, can you think of a case where someone's been that famous and wealthy?
Oh, no, I'm not. I was meaning more like, is there actually like neurological degradation, like medical causes beyond just the sheltered side of it? I don't disagree that he's a weird guy. Like, he was always going to be weird, and his kids are fucking weird. And I think the kids are the good example of what you're saying. She's crazy.
Is she?
I think she's just. They're all like little baby sociopaths. But like, I think that's the total example of what you're just talking about, the sheltered life, right? None of those kids have any real sense of what the fucking world is at all, and they by all accounts seem healthy, right? Like they're physically functioning human beings, but their life experience is completely out of track with what anyone else in the world has ever experienced, right?
Yeah, I know he's. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know he's with his things like the United States. He said that.
Yeah.
I've seen like people suggesting that maybe I think even you suggested that it might be.
I think we talked about it previously.
Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels weird. It feels like I don't know.
But look, if
we speculate about that, because what if it came true that he did have a stroke, or he was like having.
Well, I mean, then that's really fucking dangerous, isn't it? There's there's parts of the Constitution which are specifically there so that you can remove someone who's been injured in office or can't run the office, because if you're the leader of the free country and you don't have your faculties, then that's not in the best interests of that country to have that person in charge.
Well, it's definitely not drunk.
Yeah, he's definitely not drunk.
Drink,
no,
which is arguably the weirdest thing about him.
I think that's got a lot of competition.
Definitely
the most suspicious. The other day he was coming out with the impeachment. He was calling the impeachment thing a hoax, in the sense of it's not in the Constitution. Like, where's this come from? It's like literally in the founding document of the land. Yes. I forget what we were talking about or how we got there, but yeah, we'll see where this. Oh, that was one other thing I wanted to say. So you haven't been reading super closely in terms of you've been reading really about the impeachment stuff. You've been watching the coverage of a few various sources. There's a newsletter that I have subscribed to called impeachment.fyi, and I believe that's the website, impeachment.fyi. And it's a really digestible little, like, short email that comes Monday to Friday, and basically just summarizes the day's news from other news sources. So it says, New York Times reports this thing in the development of the impeachment inquiry, and the CNN reported this, and this, that, and the other, and just in really simple human readable language updates you on where things are sitting. And I found that really a nice digestible, like I said, it's not like reading an essay, it's human readable little take on the news to keep on top of this stuff. So if anyone out there is thinking, how do I don't want to invest hours in it, but I want to spend like 4 minutes just keeping an eye on things, impeachment.fyi, I would recommend it to people.
It's exactly what I'm looking for.
It's really quite
4-minute rundown.
Having said that, I'm just double checking that that's the URL, but I'm pretty sure it is.
.fyi.
Yeah, impeachment.fyi. Yeah.
For your information.
Yeah.
How can that be a dot? Can you just choose whatever?
They've really widened. They've really changed what the internet locators can be. You can get .pizza. You can get let me find
.pizza.
You can find sites that are .pizza.
Should we get a website, Nick? Dickfort.pizza.
Oh, thank you for reminding me that. Okay, that's a good segue. Very well done. You didn't realize this.
I'm killing it today.
You set me up perfectly there. So, as we all remember from from our last episode, my most successful Dragon's Den pitch, which everyone loved, and no one pointed out already existed. Everyone loved it. Was Priceberg. Everyone was like, "This is the site that we need. There's no other way that we could get this information."
I believe
hundreds
the
of
poll
tweets.
that we I'll let you finish.
The poll, I think, was indecisive.
The poll was all right. To be fair, the poll was purely people who had not listened to the podcast and just completely going on the graphic that you chose, which you absolutely sabotaged yourself.
I did sabotage myself. I didn't sell.
Because mine looked dope. Like, I actually went on eBay and bought whatever that was.
The snake oil.
The Mamba juice.
Mamba juice, yeah. So with everyone's support and the obvious enthusiasm out there, I decided, well, we talked about Priceberg a lot. I need to get on there and register this domain. as we discovered when we were recording, priceberg.com seemed to be available. So I thought, the due diligence here would be to jump in and grab that. As it happens, someone did have priceberg.com. Oh. So, yeah, bit of a shame there that's just sitting there unused. But what
about priceberg.fyi?
But what no one had was priceberg.club. So nice. If you want to join the Priceberg Club, you can go to priceberg.club. Did
you buy it?
I bought it.
What's on there right now?
If you want to jump onto priceberg.club and see what is sitting there, you'll discover that there is nothing there. It is just it's just a domain that I've registered. So
forbidden.
Yeah, you can't get onto it because there's no actual website there. But I do have the domain. So everyone watch this space. Priceberg.club. It's coming soon or sometime.
Does it have to be the thing that you pitched, or can it be something else?
Why? What did you want to pitch?
I don't know. Like maybe you and I could start a completely neutral news organization, dude.
Pricemumber.fyi. Did you want to know some of the new top-level domains that you can get?
Yes.
.actor, .attorney, .beer, .bargains, .bingo, .builders, .casino, .cash, .coach, .cool. Oh, we should get something .cool. Something
yeah.
.cool. Oh gosh, there's hundreds of them. .dental, .dog.
.dental would be good. It'd be cool to have like a chiropractor.
Yeah.
Business.
.guru, we could start up like an advice thing.
.guru is nice.
Yeah. You can get a .xyz. Okay. .yoga. .taxi. Yeah, there's hundreds of them out there. So they've really opened up the possibility. Oh, .men.
Oh,
hello. .ninja. There's so
nice.
there's so many possibilities out there. So you could be really quite ambitious now in what your URL is going to be, which is exciting. If you've enjoyed this kind of thing, then no, you know what? I do that too much. I'm a little bit sick of that outro. Okay. Well, that's it, everybody. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. And if you did, great. Oh, no. If you want to tell someone else where to go and listen, you can tell them to go to deepfort.podbean.com. And if you need to contact us in a medical emergency, send an email to deepfort@gmail.com. And if you want to get notified when an episode's gone up, twitter.com/deepfort. If you want to get pictures and drink recommendations, go to facebook.com/deepfort. And if you're just saying goodbye to iTunes, the now defunct iTunes, one last time, so just hop onto the podcast section and rate us 5 stars. If you've already upgraded to macOS Catalina 10.15 and you're using the podcast app on the new operating system, then you can do it there as well. That's just a little bit of tech fun for you. Techfun.club.
What did you just say?
It made sense to 3 people. And that's the end of that chapter.
I liked what you did there.
Thank you. I just, keeping things fresh. Now we're in the new 125. We've got to really pull out all the stops.
It's like conversational role play.
All of my role play is conversational. How about some science news?
That's not what I said. But I like it.
Play the jingle. It's that time. Time for science news. Lots of good feedback about the theme song. by the way. Everyone's really now happy and on board with it, so that's great. Glad that we've all...
Give me actual quotes.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my friends...
Real ones.
Yeah, one of my friends, Lawrence Jung.
How do you spell Lawrence?
L-U-W... Rance Jung said, "Hey Nick, hey Nick."
That was
hey. He said it 3 times, and I was like, "I'm paying attention." He said,
You're
"I
like,
just wanted to come over and tap you on the shoulder, and just say, great job with the theme song. Everyone I've spoken to, this is what Lawrence Jung said to me. Lawrence Jung said to me. Everyone that I've spoken to loves it, and I just thought that you ought to know."
So he didn't like it.
He didn't have an opinion, but he just thought that he should pass on the fact that he'd heard such good things.
And how do you spell Shum?
It's definitely got at least an X.
X.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got at least one in there.
You've convinced me.
You
don't need to convince me anymore that you've got friends, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I could name dozens of friends that I have.
Yeah. Sure.
James.
Yeah.
There's another one. Bit of science news for you. This is at astronomy.com, my only astronomy site. Scientists used IBM's quantum computer to reverse time, possibly breaking the law of physics.
What?
Here we go. Get buckle up, chickens. So normally, the second law of thermodynamics says formally that any system can only move from more to less ordered, i.e. that most systems tend towards chaos or disorder. And so scientists have experimented using IBM's quantum computer program to test this out. IBM's public quantum computer program uses 2 qubits. Qubits are units that, like a regular computer bit, can be either a 1 or a 0. But unlike normal computers, because this is a quantum computer, they can also take a form called superposition, where they're both a 1 and a 0 at the same time. So they follow the laws of quantum mechanics rather than the normal real-world laws that we live in. So scientists set up the computer so that both of the qubits were zeros. According to quantum laws, the simple passage of time will cause the computer to fall out of this order, so they're soon at a random assortment of 1s, 0s, or both. But scientists can also cause this to happen by running a program on the computer, right? What the scientists then did was run a different program which told the computer to basically run backward. And so they were able to recover the original 0-0 state from the chaos about 85% of the time. This crazy thing is... The tricky part here is getting the computer to run backward, effectively making time run backward. You're reversing time so it gets back to the state of 2 zeros after these qubits have changed randomly in any kind of order to some other mess, right? So scientists then compared this to the real world. They investigated this, quote, in the wild by isolating a single electron and then calculating how long it would take for the random variations in that electron to cause such an effect. And they found that if they studied 10 billion electrons every second, it would take the lifetime of the universe for such a phenomenon to happen just one time in order to properly unwind, right? So that's why you can never drop a handful of glass shards and see them leap together to make an unbroken mirror, right? But a dropped mirror will always splinter into many pieces. The system always tends towards disorder. But they managed to run this program that 85% successfully took the broken pieces, the random mash of qubits, and rewind it back to a 0-0 state 85% of time. And effectively, sounds like they've broken the laws of causality and physics to do it. They've rewound time to get there from randomness to order.
That's... cool.
It's at that level of specificity where it's like real world implications aren't very clear, but the conceptual implications are kind of fascinating. Like, it would be more impressive if they were like, yeah, come look at this piece of glass, and then they just like type something into a computer and it made a cup. Like, that'd be pretty dope. But the fact that they can even do
3D printer.
Yeah, like a reverse. They've unbroken a cup in front of your eyes.
Oh.
But even at a microscopic level, a submicroscopic level, the idea that they were able to effectively play back time and get to the place that it used to be is kind of fucking crazy.
Do you think time travel is given enough time? Like, obviously, probably ages if it could ever be possible. Do you think it's possible?
I haven't looked at what the latest science says. I have a mental picture that there's nothing fundamentally in the state of the universe or the physics of it as we know it that prevents it. Does that seem vaguely true to you?
There's something I can't.
Maybe we do an episode about time travel a little bit more, because we haven't really done any time travel talk either.
That'd be fun,
either in fantasy or in science. I had a sense that at least growing up, there was nothing that was known to prevent it from happening. But that might not be the state of things these days.
Coincidentally, my friend James was James Packer. You know him. He was in town yesterday, and I asked him if you could travel to any point in the future or the past, where would you go to? And he thought about it for about 20 seconds and then said, 2009. Which I cracked up. And then obviously my next question was, what happened in 2009? Oh, fuck. I thought there was
what happened? Why did he want to go to a time that he lived through?
I can't even remember what he said. I was just laughing so hard. I think it was vaguely like it was quite a sweet answer. He was just like, he felt, free. It was at university or something.
Yeah, the future was in front of you, and everything still was possibilities. And
yeah, it was both really sweet and really sad at the same time.
I do get it.
Where would you go? He
is it
asked me, and I said 50,032. But I'm going so far into the future.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, no, definitely future. Definitely future. Oh yeah. I mean, let's not burn our content for when we do a time travel talk. But yeah, I'm definitely going in the front. I don't need to go back to the past. Past was shit.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that the past was shit.
Yeah. Also, I own Encyclopedia Britannica, so
no point.
It's basically
I don't need time travel. I've got the CD-ROMs.
Exactly. Yeah. That's you can use that or not. It's not particularly exciting, is it?
We need something with just like a bit of pep to go out with. Michael, look out behind you!
What?
I don't know. Will people buy it?
I bought it.